Hi, I'm Gina Ventola, Practice Manager for Ventola Law. One of the best parts of my job is meeting with business owners. However, at times, it can be difficult to meet in person. That's why I started this show, to introduce you to local business owners in our community. Join me on Your Virtual Coffee, a new kind of networking. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your Virtual Coffee, the web show, which introduces you to great local businesses in the Denver metro area. My guest today is Suraya Yahaya, founder and CEO of Kazana Inc. Suraya is passionate about helping companies grow and scale and optimize their operations. She brings over 20 years of expertise in strategic alignment and process simplification to help clients successfully go from vision to execution. Suraya is skilled at partnering with CEOs and leadership teams across a variety of industries and business stages to identify common goals and to create and execute a plan to get there. You guys, this is going to be an excellent episode. So everybody meet Suraya.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Gina. Thanks for having me.
First of all, thank you for coming on my show. I've been so looking forward to this interview. So I did a little research on you.
Okay.
And based upon that, you like to give back to the community. Would you share about that?
Yeah, it's a value that I grew up with, giving back and helping others. And it's a value that I instill in my kids too. And what better way to keep reinforcing that value than to actually do it? So yeah, when there's an opportunity for me to contribute in some way, I usually raise my hand. So currently I serve in an official capacity for two different organizations. I'm the pro bono COO for an organization called Global Minded, and we are about creating equity in our communities to help underprivileged groups in various tracks: health, rural, tech, education. And then I also serve on the board of Spark the Change Colorado. We are a capacity building organization to help promote volunteerism throughout the state of Colorado. But I've always tried to contribute where I can. Putting baskets together for army bases. It's one of my favorite activities around the holidays. Helping out at food pantries. My kids are getting older, so I'm able to take them now. It's been incredibly rewarding.
Plus, it's good for them too, to kind of understand not everyone has it the same.
Yeah. I'm also a researcher by heart, by nature. And so I take the time to research facilities where children can come and participate. It's because not all of them allow children under the age of 16 for a variety of reasons, health, security, etc. But insurance, liability. But I do find those opportunities where we can do it as a family. And so, yeah, we've helped out with meals, putting together kits, healthcare kits, things like that.
I love that. So between being a mom and volunteering all over the place, it sounds like, and doing great work, what do you like to do for fun?
Before sort of got super busy, I try to travel as much as I can, not for work, but just as before I had children individually, my husband and myself, we would travel before we had children. And then now as a family, I just think it's a great way to enrich your perspective and, to just experience different things. I suffer from a terrible wanderlust to just go explore and to see what's out there. And try, just experience new cultures, new countries, how they do things. I think broadening your perspective gives you empathy. And it also gives you a sense of, a toolbox that you can pull from on how to do things differently, and not just have the same perspective on things.
I like that, the toolbox to pull from for empathy. I like that. Do you have a favorite country that you've been to, or favorite area of the world?
So I'm from Malaysia originally. My dad is Malay, so indigenous to Malaysia. My mother's family actually emigrated there from India. So I've been to India a number of times when I was a child growing up, and then as a teenager. And it's funny, when I was a child, I was too young to appreciate it. And as a teenager, you're just like, oh, I'm going on another family trip. But I would love to go back there. Or the eye roll. But I now, I have a much better appreciation for it. It's an incredible country. And if you haven't been, I highly recommend it. Just the diversity there within the country.
And this is India, right?
Correct.
Is this India or Malaysia?
India. Okay. Yeah. The diversity in India in and of itself is amazing.
That's interesting. I would have never thought of that.
There are hundreds of dialects, hundreds of different sort of traditional tribes, layers and layers of history. Some of the oldest civilizations started there. And it's a very familial country. So stories and culture get handed down. And it's just a very rich, and the food is incredible. And it's just a very rich history and culture. And so I would highly recommend India. For fun, I would recommend Australia. They know how to have a good time. I will just leave it at that.
Well, I have friends there, and if they're watching, hi guys.
Yeah.
So I love that. Now I'm going to pivot a little bit and talk about you, the business person.
Okay.
You've worn many hats in your career.
Right.
Would you share about your experience?
Yeah. So I started out as a lawyer. I went to law school in the UK and then came back to Malaysia, practiced for a while, and then started out in tech and telecom, working in-house. And did that for a number of years. When I moved to the United States, I couldn't get licensed here unless I went back and did all 3 years of law school again. And so I was like, well, that doesn't seem like a great strategy. So I started working in kind of the strategy and the operational scale side of the house. How to grow the business, how to expand the business, how to roll out new products, how to get into a new market. What does that look like? And I found that the strategic thinking and planning that you use when you're an attorney translates very well to growing and scaling and running the large operations of a function, because you're constantly thinking of risk and you're constantly thinking of, how do I overcome this challenge? And what steps do I need to do in advance to be able to hit the mark on something, very much like an attorney. And just loved being, on that side of the house, on the business side of the house. I still have an incredible fondness for lawyers and those in the legal profession. Tons of friends that in the legal profession, but really went more really went more into the business side. And then after over 20 years in big firms, I left and started my own firm. As a fractional and or interim chief operating officer. So all that knowledge, if you will, all that skill set of, over the years, running big programs, running big strategies, figuring out how to hit the mark on something, figuring out how to expand operations, lent itself to being a COO. And that's what I do now, and just love it. It's been incredible.
Now, you normally work with businesses of a certain size.
Yeah.
So using your vast knowledge and abilities, what would be one tip to give someone who's just starting out in business? What's one thing you could leave them with?
I would say, as a small business owner, someone just starting out, and I put myself in that bucket too, it's very easy to get bogged down with the millions of details and just the constant do this, do this, do this, do this. There's just a ton to do when you're starting out, when you're launching a business, when you're growing a small business. So my number one tip is give yourself the gift of time and space to plan a little bit. Take some time to plan and think and breathe. And you will have a much clearer picture of where you want to go and what you need to do, what kind of help you need to get there. You and I were just having a conversation before we started recording about, should I do this to my webpage, my company webpage. And it's something that I've been thinking about, but just never have actually stopped to talk to someone, a peer or friend about it. So give yourself the gift of time to plan out where you want to go and have a clear picture in your mind of where you want to go. And it will also, I think, naturally give you some bullets, some things to consider, what help you need, who you need to call for help, who you need to reach out to, and what tools you might need to get there.
I would also imagine it kind of teaches you what to spend time on.
Correct.
And maybe what not to, such as you mentioned, calling someone else, which is more in that fractional realm where there are qualified people out there, such as yourself,
totally,
that can help with those day-to-day operations, that can lead
Absolutely.
the team so that you can focus on being creative, or you can focus on running your business as far as doing what you do, why you got into business. I totally agree with that.
Right. And there's some things that you'll know you just can't do. I don't know how to build a web page. And sure, I could try to figure it out, but it becomes a to-do. And then I know that I need to get help in that area. So you're absolutely right. It gives you a chance to say, here's where I want to go as a business. Here are the things that I know I need to get done. I'm probably good at 20% of these things, and I'm going to need help with the other 80%. So now what help do I need? How am I going to get there?
I love that. Now, speaking of things that we all can't do, what is an issue that keeps your client up at night, and what do you do to solve that issue?
Interestingly, the number one issue that many of my clients encounter is how to bring people along on the journey that they as a CEO have in their head.
So kind of communicating the vision.
Communicating the vision, but also getting people on the same page, inspiring people to do it, getting people to commit for the long haul. Because a growing business, again, there's just a ton to do. And as you're growing and scaling, you go through all these growing pains, and there can be challenges about resource, time management. People feel overwhelmed, overworked. The number one issue I think that my clients encounter is how to bring the people along on the journey, make them feel fulfilled, make them feel taken care of, treat them with respect and equity, and get them to push as hard as the leader wants to push, but in an inspiring way, and bring them along, bring them along for that shared success. So I solve it as a COO who comes into the company. Yes, there's the strategic piece, defining where we want to go, building the plan and how to get there. What does that roadmap look like? But the part that I really enjoy too is working with the leadership team, the rest of the leadership team, to support them getting there, to help them solve problems. We jointly have conversations with a sense of humor. It always helps, because when you've got massive goals, as you know, it can be very stressful. Even litigation, it's very, very stressful. But you do it with a dose of humor. You do it with a dose of, kind of teamwork And that's the part I enjoy, kind of getting the whole team there, so that the CEO, for example, is then saying, okay, Suraya's got this plan, she's running it with the team, people are feeling supported, the CEO is out there then doing what he or she needs to do.
Suraya, let's talk about power partners. And for our audience, power partners are those businesses who look at your ideal client and that's who they target, but they're not your competition. One example I use is a mortgage broker and a real estate agent. Those two want that potential homeowner, but for different reasons, but they can work together to get that client, and they can probably pass referrals back and forth.
Yeah.
So as we go into this, let's get an understanding of who your ideal client is.
Yeah, so my ideal client, I actually serve 3 different buckets. The first bucket has grown really fast and has reached a tipping point in terms of capacity on the team, because it needs to be realigned in terms of the right roles that are required to continue to grow and who's going to do those roles. When a company grows really fast, it really usually is all hands on deck. Everybody's doing everything, and then it gets to a point where you can't grow anymore because you're doing the same thing that Bob may be doing for a different client, for example. So I help those clients. I use a model called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I help companies who are running that EOS model implement the different facets of that, which includes the alignment of the right leadership team, roles and accountability, strategic planning, metrics measurement, et cetera, et cetera. So in the EOS model, there's an implementer who teaches the program, and I'm actually the integrator. I'm actually the integrator, which is just the EOS word for COO. So companies growing really fast who need to set the right structure now to truly scale. That's the first bucket. The second type of client I work with are, sometimes I'm hired by the board or investor to take a company to a certain point. A sale, a merger, an exit, a restructuring, a wind down. So the board or an investor has hired me to take the company to a certain point. Then the last bucket which is really fun, is a company that's about to launch or has recently launched and they're sort of like, wow, this really works. How do we actually create a real company with the right people, the right roles, and how do we actually, like, what do we need to do? And with that legal background, it's really helpful there too, because then, I'm helping them with other power partners, to your point. Yes, you need a lawyer. Yes, you need an accountant. Yes, you need a marketing person. But really just helping them get off the starting blocks, which is really fun.
You actually mentioned 3 great power partners, whether it's, marketing companies and CPAs. I think business attorneys, because they're going to be able to make that determination of what
Correct.
type of entity, maybe
Correct.
help you with that partnership agreement, or as we call it on my side, that business prenup, so that if it goes south, what's going to happen.
Yep.
Because, some breakups happen in business too, right, Suraya?
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
It can get ugly.
That's when it gets sad and painful.
Sad and painful indeed.
HR strategists,
So both consultants, and I'm also thinking PEO companies who,
correct.
Those professional employment organizations.
Absolutely.
To kind of take that piece off your hands.
Yes.
So you're not writing employment manuals. You're not
designing benefits
packages. they kind of, it's a really good use if you're of
Yeah.
a certain size,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I was actually just talking to someone earlier who said, oh, geez, we need to design a sales commission package. And I thought, there's an area we need help in.
Definitely. And that's, I mean, what is it that you do? You're jack of all trades and master of none.
Yeah, right.
Do what you're good
Right.
at.
Do what you're good at. And also, some of these areas are complex and you don't want to get into litigation. You want to make sure you thoughtfully design things. Absolutely. I'm very much of a, and again, it all ties in together to what we talked about a few minutes ago. If you sit down with someone and have them help you plan a strategy, it helps lay out all the things that you need to do. A COO like myself helps to run that plan, right? And then, if you truly are, interested in partnerships, then, as the COO, I typically am the person reaching out and say, yes, I think we need someone to help us with sales commissions. Let's go find the right partner for that.
Oh, most definitely, because that's not something, I'm going to go Google sales compensation plans. It's Google's great, right. But for something like that, you really want to talk to somebody who's been to school for it, like you,
right?
Or like, or direct, talk to someone like you to kind of direct them on the right path versus, oh, this language looks good. Google's pretty good on that.
Right, exactly.
So Suraya, Kazana Inc. offers a tremendous service to the business community.
Yeah.
What is the best way for those businesses to reach out to you so that you can help them?
Yeah, please share my contact details. But you can reach me through LinkedIn, either as myself or my company. Kazana Inc. has its own LinkedIn page, or directly on my website, company website, www.khazana, Khazana Inc.com.
Perfect. Well, we'll put slides at the end so that you guys watch the video to the end, and you'll have her contact information. You will have Suraya's ideal client and also power partner. So if you kind of fall into either that ideal client range or you fall into the PowerPoint or power partner range, you can reach out to her and discuss how you guys can work together. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say I appreciate the opportunity. Obviously, Gina, you and I have gotten to know each other even before the show, and I definitely am open to even a conversation to help people even strategize those first few baby steps. Sometimes it's that exploratory conversation, I think, just triggers a lot. So I look forward to talking with people. And thanks again, Gina. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Suraya, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you.
And audience, thank you for joining us today on Your Virtual Coffee. We could not do this show without you. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe. There should be a subscribe button down at the bottom. At Your Virtual Coffee, we love business owners, as does Kazana Inc., by the way. So business owners, let's talk. Thanks, everybody. Your Virtual Coffee is sponsored by Ventola Law. Ventola Law, mediation and legal representation at an expert level. You can find them at ventolalaw.com. Thanks for joining me today. For more information on Your Virtual Coffee, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wait for it, our website at yourvirtualcoffee.com. Thanks again for watching, and have an incredible day.